Hey everybody, just want to do a quick update, talk about the movement, talk about the mission, talk about update with my life. The title of this video is Quit Searching Among the Branches for What Is Only Found in the Roots, which is only found in the root. That's a message I give to all my brown brothers and sisters and relatives of Turtle Island, of Abya, North, Central, and South America. We need to quit searching in the branches, searching away from the root, being distracted away from the root of what needs to get done and who we are. Who we are as Indigenous people, as Native people. And we have to wake the sleeping giant. I call upon everyone here to wake up, to continue to wake up, try your best. I think that there's a lot of distractions to try to, distract us from this movement and what we truly have to do. And I believe we have to be committed. We have to be committed to facing the truth of our situation. Because when we face the truth and we stand up to the horrors of the situation of colonization, then we can truly be liberated. Right now we're living, it's like an episode of The Twilight Zone. It really is. It's like an episode of The Twilight Zone. We have a hard time coming to the realization that we are indigenous people. We are native to this land. And we are living in a half-truth. And sometimes a complete lie. We have to understand that we are native people. So no more looking in the branches for what is in the root, for the truth which is found in the root of who we are, the bulk of who we are, which is being indigenous, being native. Beauty, intelligence, and power is not found in Eurocentricity. It's found in who we truly are as native people. They've tried to demonize us, barbaricize us, make us seem like we are unworthy, unholy, below, bottom, when we are truthfully the opposite of all that. We are worthy of great lives, to be authentically ourselves, of what we are, which is native people, which is people. Not just native, but people. Most Latinos are native. It's not about anger. It's about justice. And sometimes justice requires a bit of anger. You gotta be angry if the bully keeps kicking sand and dirt in your face over and over and over again and forces you to shrink yourself, to not acknowledge yourself, to demonize yourself, and you do nothing, and you don't get angry. Sometimes it requires getting angry to step up. Sometimes it requires other means, other than peace, to stand up. And I believe if it requires us to get angry, even violent, in the means of self-defense and self-preservation, then so be it. We don't choose that way naturally. But if we are pushed in a corner, I expect us to fight. I expect us to defend ourselves for self-preservation. This is a movement of self-preservation. This isn't a movement of violence. This isn't a movement of hatred. This isn't a movement other than just loving oneself and who we truly are. For the Mexican to realize who he truly authentically is to understand that, when he understands he is an indigenous person, he understands and comes to the realization that he is no longer a colonial subject. He is no longer a colonial subject. He becomes much more. He becomes free. He becomes liberated. And when he or she becomes liberated, that's when we can walk in truth. That's when we can walk in healing. You can't demonize yourself. I don't know the other YouTube channel. I have an old YouTube channel that I had when I was a kid. I don't really go on. I'm grateful for every single one of you who has helped me in this journey, who's helped me and supported me, and I'm in a very difficult time right now, guys. I'm in hard times. Like I said, I've been struggling, fighting homelessness and, things like that. I'm alone right now. And I feel like this is the only outlet I have in many ways. For me to be myself and talk about the things I care about. And, I'm just grateful for everything. I recently got hired, though, as a positive, as an update. I got hired at Sprouts. Yeah, I'm a humble man. I'm not doing anything crazy at the moment. I'm still figuring out my way in this new state, in this new area. I've been putting a lot of stress on people with them helping me. But I'm doing my best. So I'll be working soon. And everyone who was able to send a little something, I'm eternally grateful. I'm so grateful for all you. And it reminds me that, this message is not falling on deaf ears. Our message is not falling on deaf ears. If there's something to fight for, this is it. This is my healing right here, talking to you guys. I don't think there's anything truly worth it other than this. In this really backward, twisted, fucked up world we live in. But I'm happy that we get to talk the truth and we get to support each other. And I hope that what I'm saying can be of benefit to you. And I know sometimes I'm just talking like a broken record. I'm saying the same things over and over again in a lot of my lives, but the message has to be repeated. It's a pretty simple message. A lot of people want to, throw a lot of controversy on it, or they want to act like it's this rocket science thing. But it isn't. We are Native people. I'm in Arizona right now. I'm not the man I want to be yet for this movement. I gotta become if I'm to speak the truth, and if we're all gonna walk in that truth, and I gotta be truthful, I ain't the man I want to be yet for this movement. I'm not him. I hope one day I can be, at least somewhat, but I'm not him yet. And I hope with time that I will be. And, I know that with time I will. I know I will. But I need your help. I need your guys' help. We need to help each other. It's not you just helping me. I need to help you. Help us. We're in a situation right now. We're in a dire situation when it comes to who we are. We're living crooked, in my belief, we are living crooked, disbalanced lives. Not all of us. Most of you who already know who you are aren't in that way, at least, to my knowledge. But as long as our children deny who they are, demonize who they are, and think of themselves deep down as Indio feo, an ugly Indian, or below, or not, unworthy because they're native. The Mexican, the Latino, is only ever criticized and demonized by the white man in America, in the United States, because he is of Indian origin, because he is of Native origin, Indigenous Native American origin. That is the reason why. That is the reason why. Yata A, fellow Navajo bro, she is tough out here. Keep your head up and progress happens slow. Some people have a running start. That's the truth. All I know is struggle right now. But maybe this is what I need to learn. I'm facing a lot. But I ain't on here for a pity party. I'm just telling you guys my situation. If you're in Arizona, we gotta meet up. If you're in the Arizona area, if you're by Phoenix, Chandler, I know Chris from Arizona. You're in Arizona. What's something we can do? We can speculate. We can talk. We can have these discussions, and I do believe they have some benefit. But if we're not going to be doing anything in the real world of our ancestors, they didn't live on the phone. They lived in reality. They lived in the real world, doing real world things. And I know that we have to work with the land. We have to work with our people, face to face. And it's going to be ugly. It's going to be damn right nasty. We're fighting an uphill battle in many ways. But the truth is on the side of the oppressed. We can't be afraid. We have to be strong. The reality of the situation is many natives are mixed with other tribes, maybe other races, but many natives are mixed. Most human beings are mixed to a certain degree. I would say the average Mexican is probably as native as the average native in the United States on a reservation, typically. I mean, the overwhelming majority of Mexicans are majority native. They are majority indigenous people. Look at the statistics. But many US and Canadian indigenous people are mixed to some degree with English, French, to some degree. But that doesn't negate their indigenous identity. But in Mexico, it's so nuanced. There's so much complexity. Some people, you could be full-blooded native, speak the language, grow up in the culture, but as soon as you move into the city, away from the pueblo, the comunidad, you become mixed. You become Latino, you become white, you become Hispanic, Hispanicized or Latinized. When if you look at that, why is that the case? Because that's a social perspective that was imposed on us by European colonizers, that was forced onto us. It's like saying this, if I have black hair If I moved into the city, now I'm considered brunette. Now I'm considered a brown-haired person. It sounds absolutely ridiculous, but the social norms are different because they wanted to, degrade Indigenous people, degrade Indigenous people. Look into the minds. Thank you, Jasmine B. Thank you, Anneli. We are different. We have a different thought pattern and eternal ways, so it's not easy. Very lonely. What do you think this movement needs? Here's my question to you guys. What do you think this movement needs? What do you think should be the forefront of the action to what we do to accomplish the goal of spreading this awareness? If we have, let's say we have a couple people, what do we do? This is my question to you. Educate people better. Maybe it is that simple. Maybe it is more simple than we think it is. So many people don't know or understand their roots and other people's roots. I don't think we're Asian. I think Mexicans are native. I think the majority of Latinos, Peruvians, Guatemalans, Belizeans, Hondurans are native people. They're indigenous. Yes, many are mixed, but that doesn't change that the overwhelming bulk of who we are is native, is indigenous. You know, African Americans have some English in them, but that doesn't take away from the fact that they are black people. They are African people. They are black Americans. But when it comes to native people, you find that the identity politics are way more stringent on us. We have to jump through hurdles, jump through hoops to authentically, define ourselves as native or as indigenous. And sometimes the worst gatekeepers are our own people who are, in my opinion, regurgitating the colonial agenda, the colonial rhetoric of what it means to be native. Listen, we can argue all day and night. Some of us will believe that we originate in Asia. Some people will believe that we originated on this continent. Regardless of what I believe or what you believe in that regard, I think we can all agree that we are the originals of this continent. Whether we originally came from this continent or we came from Asia. And I know some of you might get triggered with that. But in my opinion, let's not put too much weight on that right now. I think we all can agree that we are native peoples. We're still the first of this land, the first to be here on this land, at the very least. And let's not get into that. We're not here for that. We have much, much bigger problems to worry about than, the whole, that whole argument. Let's not let that be something that it needs to be, that it doesn't need to be. We're here for the liberation of our people. We're here for the liberation of our people, of our brown people. Some of you might have your theories about where we may come from or where we may not come from, but I just say leave that at home right now. We're here to wake up to the fact that we are the original peoples of this land. We're here to wake up to the fact that we are tribal peoples. We're here to wake up to the fact that we're tired. We're tired of being the last ones to speak at our own table. The table of the Americas belongs to the original peoples of the Americas. It belongs to the red nations of the Americas. It belongs to the brown peoples, the native peoples of this land. Keep it at home for now. We can get into those debates later. But we need liberation first and foremost. The children, find where we can have that common ground. The colonizer, the trauma that they have imposed on us wants us to be at each other's heads, wants us to be constantly debating and arguing and demonizing and, critiquing and challenging each other. Why? Why? So we can be disunified. I say practice patience with your brother, your sister, your relative. Practice patience. Practice patience for them. Practice working together, figuring it out. To me, what's the most important thing is we unify. We can argue. Some of you might be Catholic and Christian. I'm not a Catholic or a Christian. I don't associate with those religions. But if you're that, I'm not going to crap on you. Some of you might be Muslim. Some of you may be, Buddhist. Some of you may be all sorts of different beliefs, have all sorts of different beliefs. But I think it's important to practice, patience, respect of others' beliefs, and to work together. If you need to work together with anyone, you got to try your best to work with your relatives, work with your native brothers and sisters. We have a challenge afoot that is greater than any of this right now. That is greater than all of this. Fighting colonization, reclaiming our identities, you know, it's important. We can be together. We can grow this movement together. We're growing it right now as we speak. Every time. Every time we're on this speaking, we are growing it. Look into Tamawanchan. You okay, Papa? You okay, handsome? You okay? You okay, buddy? Bear. Come here. Bear. You okay, Bubba? Hey, up, up. Guys, let's not argue here. Let's try not to argue. I challenge us all to try to unify and come up with some sort of solution. This isn't the place to debate history at the moment or religion. I made this space so that we can come together, put it to the side for a second, and let's genuinely think, what can we do to change the narrative of our race, of our people? How do we reclaim our narrative in history? How do we reclaim our narrative in history? As Native people, as not Latinos, not Hispanics, but in reality, how do we reclaim our narrative in history? How do we do that? Right fucking now. How do we do it? I have my ideas. I think we need to preach it. We need to scream it. We need to shout it. We need to do every form of expression to share it. We need to get angry about it. We need to show love for it. I believe that you can do nothing. I believe that's absolute bullshit. I believe we can do a lot. You can do nothing. I don't believe that. I think we can do something. I wouldn't be wasting my time here. I would be wasting my time if I didn't believe that there cannot be change for this. I know that we are going to change. Our people are already changing. There's several people on here right now this very moment. Culture needs to come back. I agree. And I also think culture needs to be acknowledged. Because a lot of the culture we already practice is native. We just don't see it as so. We see it as Latin or Hispanic, but we've been practicing and cultivating systems of knowledge that are indigenous for a very, very long time. So many people tell me, oh, I don't know any native culture. I wasn't raised in it. I argue most of these fucking Mexicans, Chicanos, Latinos, they've been practicing indigenous culture all along. They just haven't identified it as indigenous culture. They just haven't acknowledged it or seen it as such. They have never been taught it is indigenous. Or when they have, it's been at a glance, at a distance. No one has told them directly that what they do, who they are, is still native. It's still indigenous. It's still fucking native. We are indigenous peoples. You know, they call us the wetbacks. We aren't wetbacks. We can't be wetbacks. We aren't wetbacks. El Salvadorian food, much of it is native too. Peruvian food is native. We aren't wetbacks. We aren't immigrants. We aren't foreigners. We live in such a backward, twisted society. The true immigrants and wetbacks and foreigners have proclaimed us the immigrants and foreigners and the wetbacks. I think my back would be a lot more wet crossing the ocean from Europe into the Americas than it would be going across a river or walking through the desert, crossing the border. I'd be a lot more wet, a lot more of a wet back crossing the ocean in a boat than I would crossing the border into another part of my ancestral homelands. You know, this is the reality, people. This is what we are going through. This is the situation. I'm not a wetback. I'm not a beaner. I'm an indigenous man. This is what we are. And the moment we realize this fact, the moment the political power, our economic power even, I believe even environmentally, everything will become a little bit more sound. Because those who respect the indigenous ways start to respect nature. Those who understand that they are connected with nature and are indigenous and are connected to the native ways, a lot of things happen from there. It's so much more than just I'm calling myself native. It's breathing in and drinking in the reality that we are native people, and starting to identify and learn about it more, and challenging ourselves to question the narrative of who we are that has been taught to us, that has told us that we are foreigners, that have told us that we are immigrants, that have told us we are aliens. You notice that all of these titles and terms that have been pushed on us they're all telling us that we're from somewhere else. They're all insinuating that we're not from here. They're all saying that we're from another place, that we don't belong. But the reality of the situation is that we belong here because this is our inheritance. This is where our people, your forefathers, your great-grandmothers, your family, your ancestors were buried on this land. Our blood is in the land. Our bones are in the land. We are one with the land. Our features mimic the geography of this land. Because we are the land. We are the original peoples of this land. And it is important that we understand that. This is our inheritance. And like I said, this isn't a movement of violence. If we have to go violent, we will. But this isn't a movement of violence. This is a movement of changing our ideology. An ideological movement of reclaiming who we truly are. No more shame in being indigenous. Viva la sangre indígena. Viva la raza indígena. This is what this is about. Because for so long it's been demonize the native, demonize who we are. We are the bottom, blah, 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 blah. No, no más, no more. Anyway, guys, I enjoyed talking with all of you. I'm gonna cut it short. Got some errands I have to run. If you like the message, if you want to reach out to me, feel free to reach out to me. Thank you, guys. If you want to support me, I am going through some challenges right now. Financially, you can find my Cash App in the description of my YouTube channel, or you can look in my community. I posted it there as well. If you guys want to message me and just talk shop about the movement, you can DM me on Instagram _ Gabriel, Gabriel, Huso, HOOSO _. You can find me there. DM me if you want. Thank you, everybody. Take care of yourselves. Take it easy. Remember to cool your nervous system. Relax. You can choose to practice peace and try to heal. Take care, guys.